Hello, my name is Gareth McLaughlin, and I'm a second year pupil at Stromness Academy. I'm currently undertaking my Faraday project and am investigating the oral story of the Men of Harray graves. The oral tradition has been passed down over the years but is understood to be based on the events that occurred in the late 17th century to the mid 18th century. There is no written record of this event from the time, but there is a physical presence of the line of gravestones on the Rendell Hills. The basic story tells us that during a winter period, probably between 1685 and 1741, the people of Harray were starving. A group of men set off to walk over the hills to Rendell to gather ebb meats. Ebb meats are the type of food that can be found on the shoreline between the high tide and low tide marks. Cockles, mussels, spoots, partons, and possibly some fish, if they were fortunate. They filled their cases, which are straw bags carried over the shoulder, with shellfish and any other suitable food, and set off to return to Harray. On the way there was a sudden snowstorm, and they all perished on the hill. An unknown time later, a search party found them and buried them where they fell. Their graves were marked with stones, probably gathered from the nearby burn of Dale. The graves lie near the bottom of the Rendell Hills, close to the house of Queen Amida. I examined the current ordnance survey map for Harray and saw several peat roads that stretch out from Harray toward the Rendell Hills. I then searched the web for an older map of Harray and found one from the National Library of Scotland dated 1882. I compared the peat tracks, and there are similar tracks. However, some tracks on the older map do not show on the modern day map, probably because they have fallen into disuse and reclaimed by nature. I also examined the 1854 Division of Commonty map obtained from the Kirkwall Library. This showed that the areas of land owned in common by the people of Harray extended to the parish boundary with Rendell, and the same peat tracks are shown. This indicated that access to Rendell from Harray would have been relatively easy via the peat tracks. Where then did the Men of Harray live? In Harray, between present-day Doomby and the Lyde Road Junction, there are 4 small townships recorded. From Doomby there are Narston, Merbister, Corston, and Cargill. However, with no written record of the men and/or families affected by their loss, the exact location of the men's homes could not be narrowed down further. Further examination of the 1852 map of Commonty showed that there were many tracks between the 4 townships, but that as they moved out to the Came or Vale of Cargill, they all joined together, leading up to the Tower of Rush, a high point on the Rendell Hill leading over to Rendell. Harray is the only landlocked parish in Orkney, and therefore has no direct access to the seashore for ebb meats or fishing. The next question I asked was, did the Men of Harray go to Icebreaker Bay or to Woodwick Bay? The distance from the furthest point in Harray would put the distance approximately 6 miles to either Icebreaker or Woodwick. Arriving at the hilltop and before commencing their descent, there are 3 choices to consider. They could have descended to the township of Cottisgarth, adjoining what is the modern-day Lyde Road. This would have led them to the area of Norsemen and easy access to the shore. However, I discounted that possibility because it does not account for the graves being situated near Queen Amida. I can see no reason why the men would have travelled to or from Woodwick Bay via Queen Amida. There is a far easier peat trek shown on the 1882 map, following the ridge of the hill to Woodwick Bay. From the hilltop, it would have been easy to follow the ridge line to a point above Queen Amida at perhaps Mid Tower, and descend via local peat tracks into Randall, and access to the shore would have been straightforward. I therefore concluded that they went to Icebreaker Bay to collect ebb meats. The first written article I found which mentions the stones was in the Orcadian newspaper dated 6th of July 1922. It was written by J.R. of Rendell in response to news that an antiquarian society was to be established in Orkney. He wrote, "Having occasion to be in the west hill of Rendell the other day working peats, I came across 8 standing stones, which must be ancient memorials. They are all whinstone, seemingly taken from the burn at the foot of the hill." He goes on to invite the Antiquarian Society to visit the stones. I checked the Orkney Antiquarian Society reports for the 31st of May 1928, titled "The Antiquities of Rendell Parish," but there is no mention of these stones. The next article was in the Orkney Vintage Club newsletter number 8, which recorded a visit to the grave site and the finding of 7 stones. I also read an article by Sheila Spence of Corston, Harry, who wrote an article in the newsletter of the Orkney Family History Society number 65 in March 2013. She had visited the site and found 6 stones. She also recorded some old peat tracks, but most had disappeared back into the heather and grass. I have visited the site on several occasions and found 8 gravestones. I have assisted in the placement of markers to indicate where the graves are located. I am now showing a short video of the main peat track from Harry leading up and over the Vale of Corrigal to Rendell. It ends with me walking along the line of the gravesite and showing 2 of the gravestones. Now standing on the track that was used by the Men of Harray to go over the Rendell Hills to the Bay of Icebreaker. Ahead of us we can see Narston and Doomby. We can see Nest House. We can see the Loch of Harray. We can see Corston. We can see Corrigal. And here is the track that took them over the Rendell Hills, into Rendell and to the Bay of Icebreaker. The Rendell hillside is a bleak area of land. Once people came here to cut the peat, and there were many tracks scattered over the side of the hill. Vegetation would have been cut back or burned off to keep access open to the peat banks. Now there are few visitors to the final resting place of the Men of Harray who died here many years ago. The tracks have been reclaimed by nature, the heather has grown, and the gravestones are disappearing into the undergrowth. I quote from Bessie Ski's Countrywoman's Diary. Tramping up the steep slope, their loads grew heavier, their feet more heavy still. Down came a blizzard with smoking drifts, and one by one they sat down to rest on the cold hillside. And there the morning found them, with the blackbacks laughing over a feast of dead eyes.